we'll talk about England now a little bit. They've had a mixed sort of Nations League here. They've lost to Greece, but then they got back to winning ways against Finland. What do you make of England at the moment? There's a lot of uncertainty around interim boss Lee Carsley. He's sort of been reluctant to confirm whether he wants the job or not. Um, there's still a lot of uncertainty over who will replace Gareth Southgate as the permanent England manager. What do you make of all this at the moment?
It's tough on Philly Carsley, isn't it? Because the leap in publicity that he's having to cope with, I would argue, or deal with is it's ridiculous. I don't think anything prepares you for that. He's so intensely in the spotlight, and things felt really positive before this international break for him, and he suddenly felt that how quickly the Sharks can circle, and if they taste any blood. And I saw an awful lot of criticism from after the loss against Greece, and not deservedly so. England were poor, but you quickly realise how vindictive he can get at times, about him not being good enough, naive, and all this kind of stuff. He tried something. It was bold. It was brave. There was an awful lot of attacking talent on the pitch. It was a little bit disjointed in hindsight, but international football is ruthless, especially when you're manager of England. And any mistakes that you make will be held up as evidence against you for an awful long time. And that was the first taste he's had of that pack of wolves coming to his door and banging it down. And I do feel it probably spooked him a little bit. England were fine against Finland. They got the result that they deserved. They weren't perfect. Finland still had plenty of chances, but England probably just about deserved it. Uh, it was more of a traditional team. But there are still slight issues. I do think it's been really smart in introducing, Angel Gomez in particular into the team. I think it's an inspired choice, and it's a brave choice that I couldn't imagine Gareth Southgate making. If I'm being totally honest, I can't imagine him picking. Well, he never did. So I think that says it all. So I don't think he's afraid to make these tough choices, but it's such a hard job, and I don't feel currently he'll be giving it permanently. I might be wrong there. I don't mind either way. I'm quite relaxed about it, but I feel they'll go for someone of a higher profile, who maybe could have a little bit more experience to sort of be able to take the buffer, take the essentially you're sort of you are what's the term of phrase? I can't think of what it is. Where you're sort of like you draw all the heat basically. There's a common phrase I can't remember, but that's what your job is as the manager to
Yeah.
draw all the criticism for the players and everyone else. You have to be able to take it, and I think Southgate was very good at that. He was very fine dealing with all the media expectation, taking all the criticism of players and putting it on himself and so on. I don't know if Lee Carsley is used to that because it's a very different experience being under 21 manager, under 20 manager, whatever, than being the England's men's first team manager because it's just so much expectation. I'm not sure, given how confusing he was with his responses to it. Like he implied he wants to, then he didn't want to, and it's all. I'm not sure he really wants it. I think you either do or you don't. And the hesitation to sort of clarify his future, he might not know, to be fair to him, but it doesn't feel like he's banging the door down to get that job. It feels to me like he's a little bit cautious about what could be expected of him. And I don't know if he fully wants it. And I think that will probably play into the decision whether to hire him or not full time.
Yeah, he's very much in the limelight at the moment, and that's not maybe something he's used to, especially with the under 21s that don't get as much attention as the senior role. Um, yeah, he's almost come across a bit nervous with the way his responses. He's said before, like hopefully he'll return to the 21s, and then he had to clarify exactly what he meant. And he's also come out and said that he thinks that the next England manager should be someone who's won many titles. And then so that sort of, sparked rumours about who it could
Yeah.
be. Thomas Tuchel, for example, has been linked. He's won a few trophies. But then he's come back and said that he's actually won himself with the under 21. So it's quite confusing, really. And in that Greece game, he sort of experimented a little bit, didn't play with a striker, brought in some players, played people in different roles. Do you think that experimental way of going as an England manager, do you think experimenting is the right thing to do if he wants the job, or do you think it would have been better to just pick the best team available? Obviously, the game against Greece, there was no Kane, but do you think that's the right way he should have gone if he really wants the job?
Well, look, essentially, whether we like it or not, this is his preseason as a manager. He has to try to make these experiments. He has to try new players because we're here where we are because people felt that it wasn't working. So, what did people want him to play the exact same way that Southgate did, or try something different? Like, a lot of football fans, and I'm guilty of this too, they want to have their cake and eat it, you know. They want everything. They want new ideas and new young players, but they also want success and consistency and familiarity at the same time. It's like it's not possible. So he has to make these changes. He has to try introduce some new players like Rico Lewis in the squad, you know, Tino Livramento, uh, Noni Madueke from Chelsea. People like that, Angel Gomez. He has to bring new drive and hunger into the squad. At the same time, people have to be patient. There's there has to be sort of we have to trust his sincerity as a manager that he's trying this because he feels it could be best for England, that and that he's his own man and he will try things. And I think we've lost sight of patience in football, but I think it's because there's so much football. I think we forget just how little he's had to sort of get his hands on that team and build it. And because it feels like football's going on forever, it feels like he's been in control of England forever, and he hasn't. It's been a handful of sessions still. So he needs time essentially. Will he get that time? It depends on the results. Like if he can make as many experiments as he wants, he could play Dean Henderson up front, and people would care as long as England were winning. Largely until that urge for entertaining football comes in as well, where you want to win and then you want to show that we're also dominating. It's such a hard job to find the perfect balance. I don't think anyone's going to be happy. Everyone's going to be happy at any point because that's just how it is. You can't please all the people all the time, and especially not in this country where everyone is so out to get the manager because they have their own strong views, and this football tribalism leads into young fans preferring their players over their players, and it's just so messy.